evening, New York. Man, how long have I waited to say that? Just to echo what Mazzy says, it's awesome to see people here. It's awesome to half recognize a bunch of you as well. I literally mean half recognize you because I've only seen you from here to here over the last year or so. I'm Gavin Lauchlan, and I'm Chief Product Officer here at OpenFin. And when we get my slides up, I'm here to talk to you about OpenFin Workspace, which will give a second to get up on screen. Can I get a show of hands from people as to, has anyone heard of OpenFin Workspace? Don't be shy. All right. We got a lot of hands, but we didn't get all the hands. If we had all the hands, I could have wrapped up early, and we could all have got to the bar quicker, but I got work to do. We launched Workspace almost a year ago. It's coming up on the first birthday of Workspace. This is our out-of-the-box desktop environment that gives you OpenFin Home, which lets your users search for content. Now that content, whether that's applications, contacts, instruments, these can all be found through a keyboard-driven interface. We have the OpenFin Store, which allows users to browse and discover content. And we have the OpenFin Browser that pulls all that content together into a window and gives you interoperability between it. We also have the OpenFin Notification Center, it's the last piece of the puzzle there, that allows any application on the desktop to alert users to important information and allow them to take action and drill back down into their applications. So with this out-of-the-box desktop environment, this allows you, as a platform builder, to concentrate on the thing that really matters, and that's the content. You don't need to deal with window management, search interfaces, building stores. You bring the best content you can to the desktop environment, best desktop environment you can, and we bring the rest. Now, we made a significant change to Workspace around December of last year when we introduced the Workspace SDK. This means that the Workspace components have no dependencies at all on any services either from OpenFin or yourself. The dependencies come from your platform application. So if you build an application to run on OpenFin, you can now use our SDK to choose which parts of Workspace you want to use. If you're already a platform application, it makes it super simple for you to pull down the SDK and choose that you want to use Home if you want that search UI. You don't want to use Home? Fine, don't register with that, but you might want to use the store to surface your content there. Browser as well is yours, and it's a place for your content to run. So as a platform developer, you launch your platform. Your users would log into that. That's your business, how your user authenticates. Your platform registers with the pieces it wants to use, and you feed the data into those components. So if you want to use our store, maybe you've got an FDC3 app registry that has all of your application definitions. Maybe you've got a proprietary system. It doesn't matter. What matters is you just get that data and use our APIs to populate the store. As the user interacts with any of the components, we call you back to say, hey, that thing you put in the store, that search result that you put in Home, the user's clicked on it, take action. We release a new version of Workspace approximately every month, so we're continually iterating on Workspace. Institutions can choose to pin to a particular version and decide when they want to update. If you're a platform builder, we ensure that the SDKs are compatible with newer versions of Workspace. So if you build with, say, version 7 and version 8 is released, your app, you don't need to re-release your platform. It will continue to work with the new versions. But similarly, if you deploy into an environment where there's an older version, the APIs will also degrade gracefully, and it will work with the older versions as well. We're putting a lot of work into that capability. So let's take a deeper dive into some of the components of Workspace. As I mentioned, Store is the place that allows you to surface content to the user. You can choose to personalize this because you know who your user is and you know what content should be highlighted to them and what should the store be populated with. This is all completely in your control. The entire thing is data-driven. You decide what the left-hand side navigation is, and you decide what the entries are. We have a bunch of templates inside the store. So this is an example of our hero image. We've got application cards, we've got grid views, so you can choose the experience you want to give to your users. Notification Center has been getting a lot of customization support as well. One of the things we've recently added is the ability to create custom templates. So we've got a bunch of out-of-the-box templates. You can create notifications with images, with forms. But now we've introduced a templating engine, so you can create your own custom compositions. So if you want a news feed where you've got images, charts, text, you can choose to create that. You don't need OpenFin to supply that for you. So this unlocks a lot of potential in the center. We've done the exact same thing with OpenFin Home. So in Home, for every search result, you can use this same templating engine to create custom creations that really allow you to provide anything you like as additional drill-down information inside Home. So if you're viewing an instrument, you can supply price history, research links, anything you want that you go retrieve from your back end, you can now customize the search results in Home with that. Browser, again, we've made this fully controllable by platforms. So Browser is we think it's our best offering of what we think a desktop windowing system should be. It comes with a bunch of out-of-the-box capabilities, from interoperability, color linking interoperability, the ability to save pages, the ability to hide show tabs. All these capabilities are there, but you can opt out of those if you don't want to use them. You can also opt in to adding extensions through the browser. If you want to add new menu options, if you want to add new actions, this is all up to you. So this is what Browser looks like. Browser allows you to have multiple pages of content within a single window. If you don't want that, you can turn it off. We have these out-of-the-box actions that I just mentioned. You can add your own items in there and decide which capabilities you want to expose to your users. You can decide what windowing options you want. And as I mentioned, we have a rich set of menus, right-click context menus, and a global menu at the top left of each window that, again, you can choose the items that are in there. We give you the default set. If you want to change that, you can go ahead and add your own items in and customize that experience. So the last big piece that we've recently introduced to Workspace is theming. All of the components across the board, Home, Store, Notification Center, and Browser, all support the ability to be custom themed. So if you have a strong brand in your institution and you've got your color palettes and your logos, you can now surface those through all of the OpenFin components so it looks and feels like one cohesive desktop. And I've got a quick video of this to show you in action. Now this video does contain flashing images. It's only 1 minute long, so look away if that bothers you. Otherwise, please enjoy. So I'm biased, but I think that's pretty cool. We can't wait to see what people do with these customizations and these theming available to you in Workspace. Now, if you're paying super close attention there, you'll have also noticed a new guy on the desktop. What we're working on at the moment is a customizable dock, so a floating toolbar. that has all of the same patterns I've described. So it gives you quick access to the OpenFin Workspace components themselves, but as a platform, you can also surface your applications and content directly on the toolbar, giving your users one-click access to the stuff that they're most interested in. So this is something that's going to launch, hopefully by early summertime. We've also been hard at work on our documentation. Every new capability we add to Workspace, and indeed our platform, we're making sure we produce a developer guide that explains what this thing is, what the value of it is, why would you want to use it, what can it do. Alongside that, we publish API references with all of the gory details of the function calls and parameters. We have improved our TypeScript support for the TypeScript developers out there, so every new release of OpenFin will come with the types that our own developers use that are released in tandem with the runtime. We've also released a new organization on GitHub. So we've created the Built on OpenFin organization. And inside this section in GitHub, we have samples for all of the different products that we have. So there's container samples, platform samples, and workspace samples. As a developer, you can go and download repos here that you can build on your machine and tinker and really understand how all this is working. If you're not a developer, you can also go here and you can launch the workspace examples and you can tinker with it as well and understand how these things work without needing to touch a line of code. Our documentation team are actually here tonight. We've got a booth upstairs, so if you want to go find out more about what we're doing there or have any comments or feedback for us, we'd love to hear that. What's next? I mentioned the doc. We're also, later in the year, we're going to introduce the ability to give you as a platform a feed of analytics to tell you what your users are doing with Workspace. What content are they accessing? What are they clicking on? What are their workflows? You will receive this as a feed of data that's up to you what to do with it. You can send that to your backends and you can run your reports and analysis on that feed. We also have a Mac version of Workspace. For years, developers have been able to use the OpenFin runtime to build applications, but we now have a version of Workspace itself aimed at end users where they can use this as well. Now, we're looking for people to sign up to our beta program, so if your institution is interested in adopting Mac, we want to have some people come help us validate this and get it to where our Windows version is. Later in the year, we are also looking at mobile. We're working on mobile right now. We're hearing lots of demand for the idea if you're building content that's been surfaced through the desktop, it would be super useful for that same content to be surfaced on a tablet device and have that same experience where you can run your apps side by side and have them interoperate. And this is something you're going to hear from us on later in the year. I'll step away from Workspace for just a second to talk about integrations. Since almost the very beginning, you've been able to use our .NET and Java adapters to bring your native applications into the OpenFin ecosystem. But we're also building out deep integrations into some of the most commonly used tools in the industry. We recently revamped our Excel integration. It's now much lighter weight, doesn't require any administrative privileges to install. The APIs are cleaner, leaner. You can live update spreadsheets, you can read. We have demos up in our integrations booth upstairs. We have our Bloomberg connectivity, and we've also been doing a lot of work with Salesforce. So Salesforce have worked with us to enable the use of OpenFin APIs within Salesforce, within the OpenFin ecosystem. This means that as you're viewing data in Salesforce, that can be broadcast out across the desktop. Your other applications can pick that up. This works in both directions. You can launch workflows from Salesforce. You can launch into Salesforce. Again, demos of this available upstairs. We're working with Symfony to bring Symfony chat integration, able to launch chats on either Symfony desktop or web. That's coming soon. And later in the year, we want to extend these types of capabilities into Microsoft Teams and Slack as well. Hopefully the message you've been hearing from me over and over again tonight is the amount of flexibility and control that we are adding to OpenFin Workspace to allow you as a platform owner to customize the experience and give the capabilities that you choose to your users. We're empowering you to build the platforms the way you want with your backends and then feed these components. I could talk about this for hours, but I'm bumping up against the end of my slot. So come find me. I'll be upstairs at the booths as well, and come talk to any of us about anything you've heard tonight. I look forward to meeting as many of you as possible. Thank you very much.